May I know if this is Miss Amelia?
Yes, it's me. And you are?
Nice to meet you, Miss Amelia. My name is Henry. I was hired by your father, Mr. Smith, not long ago. He wanted me to keep you away from all of the misshapes and life-threatening dangers that are predicted to happen in the near future.
What mishaps? Can you make it more specific?
There's something you need to know, Miss Amelia. Your father told me that he has been battling a brain tumor for at least 3 years now. He decided not to tell you about his sickness because making you sad or concerned is the last thing he wants to do. His condition only gets worse as he gets older. Until recently, a flare-up has caused his life to hang on a thread.
What? This can't be true. Why did he hide that cold and harsh truth from me? He knows how important he is to me. As my mother left us behind to pursue her own happiness, my father had to assume the responsibility of both man and woman in our family. Yet, not once in my whole life have I ever heard a single complaint from him. He even chose not to remarry so that he could put his heart and soul into raising me. His love for me truly can't be described by words.
I can feel how deeply connected you and your father are, and I'm truly sorry for what you have to go through right now. I know this is difficult to bear all at once, but you need to be strong. Mr. Smith anticipated that when everyone knows about his current condition, some unfortunate events may happen to you and your dad's company. That's why I'm here, to make sure that you'll be safe, no matter what circumstances. Are you still with me, Miss Amelia?
Yes, continue where you're at. I'm just gathering my courage, trying to calm down and not crying too much.
I know you're a brave girl, Miss Amelia, and your father is always proud of you for that.
But wait, why should I put my trust in everything you have to say? Clearly you just must be some random person who happened to know my number.
Mrs. Smith figured that you would ask something similar. This is why your father asked me to personally send you a keepsake that's very dear to him, which is your mother's necklace. It should have arrived in your mailbox by now.
Give me a few minutes to check. Well, I guess what you said is believable, because the one I found in my mailbox is definitely my mom's necklace, which my dad always carries in his pocket wherever he goes.
Look, your father is still fighting hard for his life. Although he can hardly move, he's still able to talk and remains conscious about what's going on around him. In around 3 days, I'll read his testament on his behalf at the hospital. According to his will, you, Miss Amelia, will inherit not only his incredibly large fortune, but also his $1 million company.
Well, money and power are never my first priorities. All I care about right now is my dad's vitality and well-being.
Money and power may not matter much to you, but your father fears that some people may try to steal them from you, or even try to get rid of you so that they can lay their hands on your father's enormous property. That's why I'm here to protect you, and I'll be secretly watching over you from afar and immediately interfere whenever I feel that your safety is in peril. But you gotta make sure that no one can find out the truth about me, even the people who are closest to you.
If that's what my dad wants, then I have no reason to disobey. But may I know the identity of people who want to harm me to appropriate my dad's wealth?
Well, there are some names on your father's list of possible suspects. Until now, they haven't made any shady move yet, but it doesn't mean that you can let your guard down. Remember, anything can happen and put your life at risk after your father makes his announcement in a few days, and you have to prepare yourself for the worst case scenarios.
I understand. Thanks for the advice. Honey, my heart will be broken into a million pieces if one day I can no longer see my dad again.
You know it hurts me as much as it hurts you. But as the doctor said, Your father's at the final stage and his chances of making it through are very slim.
Please don't say that. It saddens me to an infinite extent.
I'm well aware that your dad occupies a very special place in your heart, but now that his part in this lifetime is almost complete, don't you think it's about time that we need to start focusing on keeping up his legacy and make him proud?
Legacy? You mean his company?
Well, I don't see any point in avoiding this matter. In fact, your father has dedicated his whole life for the growth of the company. Correspondingly, I'm sure that he would want us to take over his place and prolong his thriving business, don't you think? It really doesn't make any sense if you let his lifelong effort go down the drain by worrying too much about his destined demise.
I mean, you may have a point in what you're saying, but honestly, there's no spare room for anything else in my mind right now other than my dad's life being on the line.
I acknowledge what you have said, and I'm sympathetic to it. However, an organization can't operate without a leader. If you feel like you're not up for the task just yet, it's my duty, as your husband, to help you weather the storm and get through this time. To put it more precisely, I would like to lend you a helping hand and take the responsibility of Chief Executive Officer, the position which your dad used to have. Of course, the company share that your father once held is still under your ownership. So, what do you say?
Well, I really appreciate your thoughtfulness towards me. Nevertheless, my dad had stated very clearly and in detail in his statement that he wants me to assume the role of Chief Executive Officer. And for that reason, I'm not planning to do anything that's against his last wish.
Wait, do you seriously think that a woman is adequate for such a prestigious leadership role like CEO? Significant positions, especially company leaders, are not a joke, and they're obviously not meant for women, honey. Don't let your brainless things like feminism trick you into thinking that you'll be able to fulfill such a substantial duty.
What is your problem with women taking on significant positions at the workplace, really?
Amelia, you do realize that women always have to depend on men to get everything done, right? You women can never decide anything for yourself, and you easily let your emotions get the best of you. If you still care about the family that we'll build together, you should reconsider your place and fulfill your duties as a wife, which means doing household chores and bearing my children.
Well, I don't see anything wrong with me taking on leadership responsibilities. I graduated top of my class, and I dedicated 7 years to achieve my master's degree and PhD in economics. I even devoted more time working for the company than you did. To back up my words, I'd started from the bottom and I made my way to higher positions step by step. Nothing was handed to me on a silver platter, you know.
I know, but don't you think it's a little weird that the husband works as a subordinate to the wife?
Why? I don't see anything that's weird about it. Honey, it's about finding the one that's more suitable for the job. That's all. It has nothing to do with the roles we have in our family.
I honestly don't have any clue about why I still have to stick with an inferior job title like sales manager. It's literally nothing compared to your position, which leaves me no choice but feeling unfairly treated. I mean, didn't he take any of my hard work into account?
You do realize that to get to the point where you're at now, it takes other people at least 3 years? You had it easy enough and got promoted to manager in only 5 months just because you're my husband.
I mean, what will other people say? They may think that I'm nothing but merely a parasite in your family.
Not getting the highest position of the company doesn't make you a parasite, William. What's wrong with you all of a sudden? I thought you enjoyed your current job.
I did, until I figured out how deceitful your father was. He promised that I would take his place after he retired, now he swallowed his own words and had you take over the position instead.
What? How can you make up such a lie? If my father intended to let you take control of the company, he would have told me about it. He never makes any important decisions without letting me know firsthand. Look, William, I don't want us to fight over this kind of thing. We're family, and being family means helping each other out in times of need, not picking a quarrel with one another over power and inheritance.
Let me make it clear to you once and for all. If I don't get to work as the chief executive officer of the company, I demand a divorce as soon as possible.
What? How could you say that so easily after our 3 years of marriage? And most important of all, in the toughest time of my life, when I'm about to lose my father?
Well, your father doesn't treat me very nicely as well. He let you inherit his position because me and him are not biologically related. Guess once an outsider, always an outsider, right? He never saw me as his son after all. I said it. Let me take over your dad's position, or you can consider that our marriage is over.
All right, I'll think long and hard about it. William, you can't believe what happened to me when I was on my way home after Dad's funeral. First, I was nearly hit by a truck while crossing the road. Then, out of nowhere, a flower pot almost fell onto my head. I bent down to tighten up my shoelaces. That was why I didn't get hit. After that, there were some people sawing down a huge tree, and I was nearly crushed by that. It definitely was not a lucky day for me. But where are you now, William? After the funeral ended, you were nowhere to be found. Everyone was so worried and they looked for you everywhere.
What a shame to hear all of those unfortunate events. I'm not at home, by the way. And why should I be?
What? What are you saying?
Well, first of all, now that your father is dead, why should I be around you anymore? After all, it's his fortune and power that I went after in the beginning, not some kind of foolish love between you and I.
You're telling me you didn't have any feelings for me in the first place?
Not a tiny bit. Do you actually think that I approached you and your family because I fell for you? That's the most ridiculous joke that I've ever heard in my entire life. The only attractive thing about you is your dad's money.
But I'm still the one who is in charge of my dad's company, right? How can you be so cocky?
Well, not anymore. I now own papers proving that I'm the person who's gonna take over your dad's place as a CEO. He even gave me his shares in the company and every property that he possesses, including the house in which you're living.
What? How could it even be possible? That's against the decision that he stated in his testament. There's no way he could do it without my approval. Don't you dare make things up. You know faking legal papers is a serious crime.
Why should I be scared of your meaningless threat? My documents certainly comply with the law and regulations. They even contain your own father's handwriting and signature. So how can they be fake? Face the fact that from now on, you'll be officially kicked out of your dad's company and from your own fancy house. However, if you behave well, I'll show some mercy and let you work as a cleaner at the company.
I can't believe you can be so ruthless and careless. You make it seem like we were never husband and wife, like we were nothing but strangers.
It seems like you can't comprehend the situation very quickly, can't you? Look, it's over between us, and you'll be served with divorce papers soon enough. What's left for me is to enjoy my victory alongside the true love of my life, Luna. She's the one I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with.
What? So you've been cheating on me too? How did I not notice that? In my eyes, you were a dutiful husband and a pious son-in-law to my father. You never came home late. You cooked for us whenever I was busy. You even took great care of my dad during his final days of living, as if he was your own biological dad. How did you change all of a sudden?
Well, I didn't change anything. All I did was a little acting to cover my true intention. You don't know how much I had to contain myself from laughing as I saw you were blindly believing in everything I did and said.
How could you do this to me? I just can't believe all of this. To think how kind me and my dad were to a jerk like you gives me chills down my spine.
Kind? Am I hearing it correctly? Your father treated me like dirt. He didn't even let me take over the position that was rightfully mine all along. And you know what? He even had the nerve to, not just one time, scolded me and embarrassed me in front of my coworkers. I literally have no respect for that man.
So you were holding a grudge against my dad this whole time? I mean, if he ever criticized you or your work, it was just because he wants you to be a better version of yourself and make progress.
Well, now that hypocrite can carry all the criticism with him to his grave. So long, Amelia. Enjoy your homeless life. What is this, Amelia? Did you plan all of this?
And what exactly are you talking about?
Why, all of a sudden, I'm no longer the CEO of the company anymore. The securities didn't even let me in.
Why are you asking me that question? Shouldn't you be the one who needs to interrogate your own conscience about all the good deeds you did behind my back? I can't believe such a cruel, heartless, and gruesome person like you would exist.
What are you trying to say? Spit it out.
Stop playing the fool. First, you took advantage of my father's sickness and brutally forced my father to sign all kinds of papers so that you can claim ownership of his fortune and his shares in the company. You threatened him, grabbed him by his neck. You even beat him, ruthlessly. For a person that had only days to live like my father, how could he bear such an act of violence? You knew that, and you left him there dying all alone. It was you who killed my father.
Hold on. Are you even listening to your own voice right now? Don't just accuse someone out of nowhere without evidence.
I know damn well that I have all the evidence in the world to start a lawsuit against you. Do you know what I'm possessing right now? Full-length footage of you torturing my dad so that you can achieve your evil ambition. It was recorded by the hospital's cameras. Never in my worst nightmare could I imagine that one day my dad would be tortured to death by his own son-in-law.
What? I thought I took care of it.
You did do something about it. But fortunately, my bodyguard was smart enough to trace you down and recover the footage.
Where the hell did you get yourself a bodyguard? That's just insane. I think what you just said is just a work of your imagination. I mean, you're just talking nonsense to scare me.
Not only that, my bodyguard also provided the police with evidence proving how you and your mistress pulled off every scheme you could come up with to murder me so that no one could ever threaten your throne anymore. Honestly, I can't imagine how wicked and cold-blooded you can get in order to seize what you want. Just in the morning, if my bodyguard hadn't tested the food before giving it to me, I would have been poisoned to death. Guess you also bribed the hotel staff, right? Just like every other sin you committed when you were working for my dad, right?
You'd better watch your mouth, you wretched.
Let me see. Faking receipts, taking bribes, embezzling the company's operating budget, leaking confidential information to other competitors, and not to mention murdering my father and failed attempt to assassinate me? I'm done arguing with an inhumane person like you. If I were in your shoes right now, I would start coming up with any possible reasons to defend myself in front of the court.
Oh no, I think a police officer is knocking at my door. What should I do? Please, withdraw your complaint along with the evidence. You can't do this to me.
Your days of abusing your power and violence are over, William. Don't ever let me see your face again. As the story got around, my case immediately grabbed the press's attention. The public, especially William's colleagues, were so angry that they even came to William's parents' place to demand justice for me. William fought as hard as he could and came up with every absurd and invalid argument to defend his crimes. However, with all the evidence that my bodyguard secretly helped me gather, I still won the case. Finally, my ex-husband's mask was exposed along with all of the dreadful crimes that he committed for the sake of power and money. William was sentenced to 20 years in prison, and all of his property was confiscated and returned to its rightful owner, which is me, the CEO of my dad's company. Being a competent, talented woman with a solid academic background, the substantial duty of a leader doesn't slow me down at work. In fact, it helps my capacity and qualities stand out, which contributes to fortifying the position at the company. My bodyguard is still doing a great job at protecting me from every danger I could possibly encounter. Well, he's not only my bodyguard anymore, but he's also my best friend, a person who I can share each and every one of my secrets with, and most importantly, he's my future husband.